Molly McManus is a worship artist passionate about revealing the person of Jesus Christ and leading others into encounter with him through honest and prayerful music. She has always had a heart for songwriting, but did not begin sharing her music until a few years ago. Since then, she has continued to write music, both alone and with other artists, and lead worship for conferences, parish events, and retreats. She's originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and she now lives in Steubenville, Ohio, where she works as a full-time high school teacher and campus minister. This is a Know His Love story.
When I was in high school, about 10 years ago, when I was just starting high school, I'd been raised in a very good Catholic home. I always knew the love of God. I always knew and that my faith was important. I always cared about my faith. But I got really randomly sick when I was 14. I developed a rare disorder and lost my ability to walk for a while. And that was like really the first time that I think that I questioned my faith, or just not that it was real, but more so who God was. You know, this question of suffering that we all have to come to terms with at one point in our life of why does God allow suffering? Why does he allow bad things to happen to good people? And I really, at that time, I was young, and I felt like I had lost my sense of worth, because I was very active, and my ability to use my legs was really what gave me kind of peace and escape from some other difficulties in my life. So I think I really started to question and doubt the way that God loved me. But I also realized through that sickness that before I got sick was actually when I took God's love for granted, because I think there's something about suffering and, you know, losing something significant in your life that if you order that towards God, makes you realize that everything you think you need is not actually what you need. And the one thing that we need is the Lord, and that can never be taken away from us. So that situation really taught me a lot about, taking God's love for granted, and how he actually loves us, and how it's not always in a way that the world would say that love is, but through suffering, it can be actually more genuine than it could be without that. I think it really pretty profoundly changed the way that I see everything. The biggest thing, like I said before, was just that I realized that where my worth actually lies, which is something that, you know, if you're raised in the faith, you grow up hearing all the time where your worth lies, and you can know in your head that it's with the Lord. But having a profound experience of suffering, I think, is either an opportunity to really turn away from the Lord, or really realize in a real way that it's in him. And so it changed the way that I see him, and the way that I see his love, by making me realize that he can never be taken away from me. And suffering is actually something really beautiful, because it at least made me realize how much I need him. And if I ever forgot that, then I wouldn't be living in the purpose for my life. Like, it made me grateful for my suffering, because if I didn't suffer, and I would have imagined that I probably would remain Christian, but not have much of a personal relationship with the Lord. I think suffering is a way that we can encounter him in a very personal way, and know him and how he wants to relate to us as individuals, with the way that he formed our heart. And without that, I probably would have just totally missed that personal relationship with him, which is the entire purpose of my life, the entire foundation of my life. So it just made me grateful for suffering, because even though it's painful, of course, and I would never deny that, it has always pointed me back to him, and reminded me also just that he has the ability to make everything beautiful. And that just makes me fall even more in love with him. For me, what it has come to mean is that nothing that I do, nothing that anyone does to me, nothing that happens circumstantially in my life has the power to change my identity of being loved. That nothing is as powerful or as meaningful as what God says about me. You know, it's easy to put a lot of weight on our mistakes and struggle with forgiving ourselves, but knowing that I am loved as I am makes me realize that it's not up to me to create this worth in myself. It's not up to me to prove myself to anyone. But it's all just about resting in the Lord. And that just gives me a deep sense of freedom that I can't find anywhere else. Something that's always been big for me has been music. Even like during that situation that I talked about before, that was pretty huge for me. There was this new album by knowHis.love that had come out the night that I went into the hospital, and I listened to it throughout like my entire hospitalization and journey to recovery. And it has all these messages about the Lord just written and portrayed in such a beautiful way. Music is just like, there's a beauty there that words without music can't portray in the same way. And he's really like formed my heart to have a love for that. So just the connection that I feel in song with him, whether it's listening to a song that reminds me of him or writing my own music to express my love for him, it's always been a very deep way that I connect with him. The world will tell us, and does tell us, that pain is something to run from, that we should just seek out a life of comfort and happiness in the sense of like instant gratification and things like that. And just to live a life avoiding pain. What I would say and would challenge myself and anyone going through difficulty is that it's actually not through avoiding pain that we find freedom. It's actually in embracing it that we are the most free. Like we even look I always think of the Passion, but like the movie particularly, there's this one scene where Jesus is carrying his cross and he embraces it and holds it really close to him. Like it looks like he's hugging it. And when you think about it, like that helps him to carry his cross more easily than if he were like trying to drag it behind him. Like, so I would just like give this encouragement of look to Jesus' example of embracing his pain, because it's really in those moments that I in my own life have found like actual encounter with him, when I haven't run away from what's going on in my life, but instead have invited him into it and allowed him to make everything beautiful and to just exceed my expectations. It's easy to hold on to like this idea, like I said, that the world gives us, or our own expectations of who God is and who he should be. But ultimately, it's in knowing and remembering that he is God and that he is higher and that I won't always understand him, that I've been able to encounter him and actually like surrender myself to him and to his ways.
Thank you for listening to Molly's story. I would love to share your story as well. Please connect with us on social media or by clicking on the Join Us link at knowHis.love.